Oh, welcome back to the project. This is Rishabh here with another podcast or video, whichever format you're viewing this from or listening to it from. I just realized, for the record, if you can see right now, we are testing once again with a new setup, a newer backdrop in the background. It's definitely very useful to have UCam here, for Cyberlink UCam, which is in the previous videos. Um, as we mentioned, we're testing this so that we can change the backdrop without having to use a green screen. So what we're going to do now, and this is going to be a pretty loaded video. I may decide to split into, maybe not cover everything, but we have a lot to cover regarding webcam software. So we covered UCam from Cyberlink, and now we're going to start covering Webcamoid. We're starting to cover also VTube software. Very interesting stuff. It certainly makes sense to cover that because of what's in the backdrop as well. And if you can't tell, my logo here, profile, left, right, this side, over there, it's the intermission scene, everything's reversed, is actually a character in 2D. So it would only make sense actually that I could use this. However, I don't want to use it as to be, I don't want to use this picture, this profile picture, as to be a full, complete, complete replacement. It's supposed to be a paradox, a chaotic mixture, a synergistic combination. You fuse reality with something virtual, something digital. So it's a comprehensive, holistic coverage of life. All right, so that's again how we try to do things on this channel. I'm gonna switch over to display now. Okay, or Windows, and very shortly, I think we have to let's go over to display. So what we're going to do is cover the programs, and I can only show you that on display. So what we can do here on the right hand side, you can see that UCam is still working right now. Very happy to say that, but basically down here on the bottom right, you see that some of these screensavers are basically screensavers that were, some of these pictures here are, screensavers from Windows 10 when it was still rolling out. So that's this over here on the side. In addition to UCam though, the main focus will be the Webcamoid and the VR software. So why don't we pull it up right now? Okay, so the first thing we have here, this is Webcamoid, as I mentioned. It's open source, and it's also, I'm assuming, a lot less, a better word to be, it's a lot lighter. It's a lot lighter. Use a positive instead of negative. It's a lot lighter software because ultimately I can see that it's missing a lot of the scenes here. But general options, plugins, updates, doesn't seem to have any of the scenes here that were referred to. But it was mentioned that it's a very good piece of software to use for editing the lighting and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's most likely what we're going to test out off stream. Let's just run through some of the settings here. I'm going to expand it a little bit so you can see image capture. Of course, you want to save it to a certain directory. We spent some time opening a new folder, and so if I pull up one of the folders here, I can probably show you something along the lines. So here's the installer folder right here. We also have the folder that has the live 2D models as well as music we've been playing here. So we can actually probably close this one that has the music here from Polyphia. So because we're going to be working mostly and it's at night, so I don't actually need the music on to blot out any of the noise. Okay, we'll close this, and this is Polyphia right here. Let's close this one. So this is GOAT, G-O-A-T from Polyphia. We can probably close this one for now. At least when we're editing, we will be able to open it again if we have to. But we had other folders here open, and so we created a folder. We repurposed one of the folders. Slow down. We repurposed one of the folders in the documents or the video library, and renamed it to be named after DigiRT and Cyberlink and Webcamoid. So then that's where we're going to save all the webcams files if we actually record anything. It's not likely that we will record anything separate from an OBS video, but I will mention that because typically what ends up happening is it creates all these empty folders, and in other parts of the computer and library that I don't need and don't use. So I just take those folders and make sure that I save a new location so that it doesn't start creating all this junk on the side. Okay, so that's about Webcamoid here. There's a video recording, and you can see there's a web format. The file format has a bunch of different ones. Even an incredibly outdated one, SFW Shockwave Flash, dates me back to the 2005 with Madness Combat, MPEG, W or WebM, OGG file, MP4, Windows, television, OGG, and so on and so forth. Again, some of this stuff's really useful. It's very interesting because if you can't tell, some of this is like the lossless. It's the files that don't actually lose quality. Matroska, iPod, Apple, so on and so forth. CompuSave. We have the video codec, the audio codec. I didn't realize that there were multiple of these. Maybe they just came installed with the software, because I don't believe I have these codecs myself. Video capture, direct show, desktop capture, video record by FFmpeg, and so on and so forth, and the root method, and so on and so forth. Plugins, updates, and add a path. Okay, so and here's the plugins that are included. So you can see there's an audio convert, and actually I didn't export this part, so I guess this is what they were talking about when they said that Webcamoid has a whole bunch of features. Audio device, audio generator, multi-sync, multiplex, adjust HSL, aging, blur, cartoon, Chairify, cinema. These are definitely effects here. Delay, grab, so on and so forth. All this stuff here. Fire, flip, and blah-de-da. Pads. Otsu. Yeah, this is definitely a bunch of effects. So I can probably close this and use Flash or now. I don't have any intention of making a video or photograph. Video, audio, preferences, and so on and so forth. USB camera. OSB virtual, Prism, Cyberlink. So it has all these input sources and output sources. Okay, very interesting. We're obviously not going to select it, because if we do, it will disrupt the camera that's running right now in OBS Studio. I may test it after the video ends. Okay, and I don't really know why I would actually even have to do that even after the video ends, because ultimately I'm not taking a photograph or recording anything. It's supposed to be used for the video, so I don't see a reason to do this. However, the fact that we have this feature here is really nice, and I can tell that it's a lot more lightweight than the current UCam. Okay. We'll minimize that. We'll probably close it once we have done experimenting with it afterwards. Next, what we're going to do is hop over to, so after Webcamoid, right? We're going to hop over to some video editing software, since we just mentioned, of course, Webcamoid. It seems that it will be recording a separate webcam source. That's not particularly helpful for me, because sorry guys, I dropped something. Because if I do that, I'll end up having to edit and I have to stitch and connect the webcam source with the current video. Instead, by default, UCam already automatically just integrates that into the video, and then I don't have to do any editing or exporting or encoding. So I don't know if I'm going to do that. What we're going to do next, however, if we do end up using Webcamoid, and that's the only way to do it, we may end up doing this. So we have here, this is a previous video on Studio Gek and the reaction to Attack on Titan with season 3/18. And I made the video way too long, 50 minutes, so I decided to cut it. It turns out that my video converter can actually cut, add special effects, and crop and rotate, and so on and so forth. As well as I can see here that I can choose the audio files. So you can see audio 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all the way through, which is very useful. Audio 1 through 5. Of course, these are the separate audio tracks for the music, for the mic right here, for the video, so on and so forth, and all that jazz, which we're not actually going to get to. Oh, no, sorry, we already finished. So what we can do is use this as a means to use the video converter as a means to stitch as a video editor, really to put those two, the webcam and the source together. But I don't, like I said, we're not going to use Webcamoid anytime soon, so we can close video converter. Now, in addition to that, before we had used the video converter to see the split audio tracks, what we did was we went over to Clipchamp over here. It's not responding right now, so we're going to relaunch it. But the point is we wanted to see, so using MKV instead of MP4 format on OBS Studio, we split into multiple different audio tracks so that we could avoid the copyright issues by just muting all the video for all the audio, sorry, that comes from, say, Attack on Titan or the anime or the show. Now, because we weren't able to tell whether or not how to make use of the split audio tracks, we ended up going to Clipchamp first and then importing the video file into Clipchamp to see whether or not the audio track will be shown. And it turns out that in fact it was not shown, which is disappointing. Hence why we went over to Video Proc and then went over to the import for the converter there. And when we did, that way it did work. So that was very promising. Now, Clipchamp seems like it's still loading. I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe I just didn't put attention to it. Let's see how much time we have here. Can we cover? So it's about 11 minutes in. We do have time. This is probably a good point to use the appreciation animation. Okay. So at this point, what I'd like to do is Clipchamp's loading now. Okay. It's loading now. Give it a moment. I'm going to pause the video a second. Alright, so I just paused the video. It's working now. You can see Clipchamp here has the video being shown. The intro, outro, Instagram, YouTube, social media ads, gaming, blah-de-da. If we scroll down here, you see the untitled video. That's me right there with the backdrop of the city skyline. Almost like you're in Wall Street right there with wide windows in the office building. And of course, that was from UCam. And then you have down here on the right-hand side, right, the boys, Carter, Cannon, McKay, so on and so forth, doing their reaction to Attack on Titan in season 3. That is way out of date. Anyways, so we click on it and we can showcase right now as it's loading. And I'm going to pause the video once again. It's just buffering and importing. So you can see here, this is basically what Clipchamp, sorry, looks like. And the file I tried to detach, so you see here, of course, interface. We went through this Clipchamp before on a previous video. You can find it on, again, YouTube or Spotify podcast. I'm not sure it has it, but Patreon definitely does. We have it. Okay, we right click over here. You can see split audio, copy, duplicate, and the audio down here you can mute or detach. So that's what we tried to do. We tried to detach the 5 audio tracks, and Clipchamp was unsuccessful at doing that. It took a very long time to get nowhere. I waited for almost an hour and nothing came from it. So it was just a dud. It was a failure. So we're not going to waste our time with that. That was a fuck all. What we're going to do instead now is kind of try to move ahead over onto the last piece here, which is most likely Steam and install. So we're going to cover the VTube stuff. And I'm going to be totally honest here. I'm looking at the time and thinking that maybe we should just cover as a separate topic altogether, because I recognize that Webcamoid took up a lot of time, and so did the additional files there. Like, VTubing should be just an entirely separate topic. It's such a big theme, such a big topic. But I will keep it in the title. So you know what? I see that it's about 13, 14 minutes in. Let's put a pause on this. We'll see you in the next podcast. Again, very short podcast, once again, because it's for a commute. It's based off of real life, right? People go to work. We got businesses to run. I got business to run. We got projects. We got relationships. We got stuff to do. So it's only a very short podcast, roughly about anywhere between usually 15 to 25 minutes. I try to keep it that way, except for the reactions, which unfortunately have to go longer than that. Alternatively, you can also watch